Welcome back to the Fit Like Krys podcast. And surprise, I'm recording a video too, because it's not enough to hear me. Sometimes you have to see it to feel it. I am not sure how this is going to go. It's super weird, like just looking at myself and talking, but I'm trying to envision looking at you. I'm trying to envision it. So here we go. Here we are. In class this morning, one of my clients made a comment about being a masochist. And I was like, what's happening? And she was just like, because I love the pain of this class. And it sort of sprung an idea that has been brewing all week. The topic I wanted to talk about on today's podcast is comfort. And when she said that, we often think of pain as the opposite of comfort, right? It is the opposite of comfort. So before I get into the topic, I just want to make sure that if you're watching, you share it just even before you hear what I have to say. Just have faith that it's going to be inspiring and share it anyway. If you haven't rated this podcast yet, make sure you rate it. Give me 5 stars. If you ever have any ideas for topics or anything you'd like to hear or suggest guests, or maybe you want to be a guest, email me. You never know until you ask. Okay. I have a lot of guests upcoming and planned, and I'm really excited we're already 4 months into this year. And I've been recording an episode every week, which just giving myself a pat on the back because this is hard, guys. Okay. Showing up every week. Anyway, let's get into our topic. So thank you for listening. You could be listening to a million things. So thank you for choosing this podcast to listen to. And today I'm going to talk to you about pain. I wanted to start with, I don't even know if it's a book recommendation because it's a heavy read. I read this during my first yoga teacher training. It's called The Gift of Pain by Dr. Paul Brand and Philip Yancey. And this is sort of the premise is that Dr. Paul Brand worked with leprosy patients. And when you have leprosy, you don't feel pain. And so Dr. Brand sort of probes the mystery of pain and talks about its importance. Specifically that it can be an indicator that lets us know something is wrong, very simply. Pain has value that becomes clearest in its absence. So I was just reading a little bit of what's on the back of the book. So I was introduced to that concept, over 10 years ago. And in the past 10 years, my perception of pain and what it is and what its value is has changed. Not only have I experienced physical pain, but also emotional pain, and the absence of both. You don't realize sometimes what you have until you experience pain. So, back to my client this morning. Although that was an extreme statement, I was kind of like proud to, hear her say that, because pain is something that we label discomfort as pain, right? Like if something doesn't feel good, a lot of the times we will label it as pain, but it's not necessarily painful. It's just really uncomfortable. And those two things are very different, but we have lumped them in the same group. This is so weird talking to myself. I don't even I'm kind of like blacking out and I don't even know what I'm saying. So I hope that it's cohesive and makes sense as you're listening to it. Pain when you're doing a workout, right? Often I will say to people, push yourself to a place of it's really hard, but you never want to push yourself to a place of actual pain. And how do you know the difference? Well, you have to get to know your body really well, first of all. But if you can be really honest with yourself, we know the difference of discomfort and pain. Discomfort is when you are feeling really out of your element, but you can still do the thing. Pain is you are really out of your element and you're doing something that your body is like, do not do that because you're going to hurt yourself. Right. So there are two different things, but there's a thin line. There is a thin line, and the line sort of melts together when we get uncomfortable. So initially, when I was thinking about this topic, I wasn't really going to speak about pain that much. I was going to speak about comfort, and how comfort, and this is I can't think of a better way to say it, and this sounds kind of extreme, but comfort will kill your goals. Comfort will kill your progress. It will kill your potential. The brain's sort of not willingness, but its natural inclination is to go towards the path of least resistance or comfort. So when you're working towards something or on something, you're trying to achieve something that you haven't done before, there is going to be growing pains, right? That term, growing pains, the two words go together. You cannot do something you haven't done. I don't want to speak in absolutes, but for the most part, it's really hard to achieve something that you have not achieved yet without going through some pain. And this is not just physical pain. This is also emotional pain and just feeling scared or anxious or bothered or mad or angry. We associate all of those things with pain also, right? When we feel sad, we call that pain, right? When we feel, stressed or overwhelmed, it can feel painful. When we go through a breakup or experience a loss, we feel or describe that as pain. And so the first thing I would like to offer in this podcast is to start to pay attention to when you are labeling something as pain and if that's true or not, right? Like if you say something hurts, does it hurt or is it just uncomfortable? Or when you say you hate something, right? Do you hate it or does it just make you uncomfortable? Part of the reason that we associate a lot of things with pain that are not actually pain, that are not actually indicators to tell us to stop, is because we live in a world that has made everything so convenient and comfortable. I can be at a perfect temperature no matter where I am. I have a heating system in my house. I have a heating system in my car. I have a heating system in the chair that's in my car. I have a thing that I can plug in and put a heating thing in my bed. I could do all the same thing in cooling, right? Like there's that privilege. We can, and of course, this is not, again, I'm not speaking in absolutes. Some people don't have all of those things, right? But we all have different comforts. You can take a hot shower if you'd like. You can open your fridge and get something to eat at any time. These things are all comforts that if you've ever gone camping, and so like I grew up camping. And I think a lot of people that know me in the past 5 years would just look at me and be confused at the concept of me camping. They're just like, don't picture that. And I agree with you. And I hate camping now because I did it my whole life. And I feel like I've gotten to a point that I no longer have to feel that that, pain, that discomfort of sleeping in the cold and not showering and eating weird things for 3 days. I could go one day. And there's elective pain. Like you could be selective. At some point, you could be selective with the pain that you're going through. Sometimes I will push myself to do something I don't need to do, but it's just to like create a thicker skin. Taking a cold shower, for instance. Sometimes when I'm feeling like, things are going too good, too comfortable, I'll just be in the shower and I will just make it all the way cold. And I just, And you know what that does? When you select the pain, when you are the driver of your pain, when you are going to do that 10th push-up, even though you feel like you can only do 5, when you are going to wake up at 5 a.m., even though you are dead tired, when you were going to choose to eat that lean, clean meal instead of doing something convenient and getting something on Uber Eats, like all of that stuff feels painful. And you can select comfort over that for the most part, right? Which is why it's really challenging. Why would we choose to suffer when the comfortable option is available? Well, I'll tell you the reason. Because typically that discomfort, the eating the healthier meal, the waking up at 5, the doing the extra 5 push-ups, the being in cold water for a minute, when you follow through with something that's extremely uncomfortable, you only come out of the other side stronger. You only feel stronger. It's never a bad decision. Well, again, let me not speak in absolutes. Let me not, because some of you might be like, well, you know what? I did that one time and it wasn't a good idea. Listen, there are exceptions to every rule, but life will test you. Life is painful. Life is pain, okay? Because you could just be on the top of the world and then all of a sudden life will take its leg and just step on you and smush you down. And life's just giant leg and foot just steps on your head and just smashes you. Life does that, doesn't it? You just feel like everything's great. And then all of a sudden life's gigantic leg just flattens you. And it's so easy to stay in that pain of, wow, things were going so good, or I was making so much progress, but life happened, so can't do it anymore. It's so much easier to be comfortable, even though the real pain is in the comfort. Comfort will kill your goals. What I say often to people is there's 2 types of pain. And I didn't come up, this is like a quote from somebody famous. I don't know. I'm so bad with quoting people, but this is not an original thought. I just would like to give credit to whoever came up with this concept and wherever I read it. There's 2 types of pain, right? And I'll be pretty specific and just give you a specific example. For waking up early, for example, you can either have the pain of waking up early and being tired for, 5 to 10 minutes. Once you get past that 5 to 10 minutes, that resistance, that initial resistance, and you are actually awake, it gets a lot easier. And you get your workout done, or you get your to-do list done, or you make lunch, or whatever it is, the reason that you want to wake up early, right? So you could go through that 5 to 10 minutes of pain, or you can go through the pain of planning to wake up early, not waking up early, waking up later than scheduled. As soon as you wake up, your day, because you didn't wake up early, starts to run you. You are now a slave to your day. You do not start the day off with you and taking care of yourself. You start the day off with taking care of others and showing up for work and getting stuff done because it has to. And in your mind all day, you're suffering with the thought of, I didn't wake up early. I didn't get to do this. And that accumulates as you do that day over day. And all of a sudden 4 months goes by and you're like, I haven't worked out, right? Like I can't wake up early. I wish I could wake up early and work out. And it's like, so which pain do we want to be with the 5 to 10 minutes of pain that it takes to build a habit? And it's not like that. It's not like that forever. You go through this initial resistance and you build up. You build up the strength. You get stronger every single time you choose to do that hard thing. You get stronger. You build up your strength in that bank of whatever that habit is that you're doing. Or you don't. And then you have to feel the pain of not doing what you know you're capable of. And that's the pain that I want to talk about. That is the deepest pain. I have felt many different types of pain in my life. And the one that affects me the most, and it's actually not that often because I try to avoid this at all costs. When I know my potential in a certain area, what I'm capable of, what I can do, what I can offer, who I am, and I don't do that, it's the pain of regret. It's the pain of, I could have did this a year ago. It's the pain of, I knew this 5 years ago and I still haven't done anything about it. And now I feel like it's too late. It's the pain of, I shouldn't have said that because I didn't even mean that. And that's not what I wanted to say. That's not even true to me. It's the pain of showing up to something not as the person you want to be, but as the person that you feel is accepted by the world. The pain of not living up to your potential. Your potential changes on a daily basis, by the way. Our capacity for everything changes on a daily basis. Every day you wake up is a new opportunity to connect to yourself and see what you got. There's different pains. Sometimes the pain is internal, sometimes it's external, sometimes it's both. But pain is not a bad thing. It is a gift. There's a part of this that I wanted to read you, but I closed the book. I got nervous because I was on camera and I closed the book. And now I don't know what pain, I don't know what, it pains me that I don't remember what page it was on. But essentially, it is emphasizing the fact that there are people that do not feel pain. And the absence of pain is what makes it clear that pain is such a gift. Pain is also opportunity. When you feel pain, and I'm using the word pain very broad, again, any discomfort, because that's how we use the word. Pain, we don't use the word like it's an emergency, right? We use the word when we're uncomfortable. When you feel uncomfortable, that is an opportunity to understand yourself better. It's an opportunity and probably a privilege to select. Which path am I going to go? It's not always a bad thing to be comfortable. Again, I'm not going to go camping for 3 days because I don't want to. I can select that now. There are other ways that I can choose to be uncomfortable. Life is hard enough. All right. There are other ways that I can choose to be uncomfortable. So you can select. Anytime you feel uncomfortable, think about which way am I going to go? Am I going to go the way that feels better? The way that doesn't challenge anything? I'm just kind of like sticking with what I know and I know this is going to be a good option. Or do I choose the way that like it's the unknown? I feel like I can't do it. I feel like I'm not going to succeed. I feel vulnerable. I feel like I'm going to get rejected. Comfort will kill your progress because it's almost always an option. Comfort is almost always an option. So if it's an option, right, like how often are you choosing that path that's going to push you to grow? And then the second piece of this, how many people in your life are pushing you to a place of discomfort? You know, like if you're sad or if you're in pain, like how many people do you call? Like, do you call people and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. That sucks. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Or what about the people that's like, okay, you got this though. Like, don't stop. Keep going. Get up. Let's go. Life's legs. Just one leg. You don't even need two. Life will just come with one leg and stomp you out. You could feel like, oh, I am just killing it. I'm crushing it. You could be, you've been wanting to do something for so long, and all of a sudden you've got momentum. It's been 3 weeks. It's been 4 weeks. You're going. And then all of a sudden, life, you get that phone call. It's out of your hands. Life will give you pain to deal with. Life will give you discomfort to deal with. How do you prepare for that? You prepare for that by not always selecting the comfortable path. You prepare for that by paying attention to the things in your day that make you uncomfortable and not always shying away from the pain of discomfort. Being open to rejection, being open to failure, being open to I was going to say not meeting your expectations, but it's more like we have an idea in our head of how we want something to go. And when it doesn't go that way, we feel slighted. We feel like you are one person in this big world, and forget about all the other people. It's just like a world. Like that earthquake that happened the other day. Like the thing that I thought of was like, this earth could just end us in a second, like done. Like the whole thing shook. Like what? And that happens like all the time. Water, like be less attached to your outcome. Like be less attached to the way you want things to go. Create a goal, create a structure, follow it, expect there to be pain along the way. Do not expect smooth sailing in life, because life is a storm. Some days and some spots, it might be a little calmer. A lot of the times there's waves and your boat is not prepared. You know what? The last thing I'm going to say, I'm not going to go on forever here because this is already, I don't even know if I'm going to publish this. This is weird. I feel weird. So I'm recording myself. I'm looking at talking to myself. I'm coaching myself. It's like when you look in the mirror and there's like a mirror of the mirror. What's that thing called? I don't know what it's called. Anyway, pain. When you feel uncomfortable or you're feeling pain, that can also be an indicator that you are not prepared. Pain can be an indication that you are not prepared. Pain does not mean that you're going the wrong way at all times. When you're uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that you're doing the wrong thing. Sometimes it just means that you're not prepared. If you wake up tomorrow and try to run the New York City Marathon and you haven't done anything up to that, you haven't learned to fuel the right way with nutrition, you haven't moved your body in a certain way to get used to that movement, and you just run a marathon, you are going to be in some of the most excruciating pain, not only during, but probably for 3 months after, and maybe permanently. You might permanently damage yourself. And it doesn't mean that you were not capable of running the marathon. It just means that you didn't prepare at all. And sometimes that is why you're experiencing pain. And then we think that we're like a failure, or we think that it's not meant for us, or we think that we don't deserve better, when in fact, you're just shying away from all the work it takes to get to where you want to go. You can't have the result without the work. You can't have the growth without the discomfort. The two go together. You can't skip over the hard parts. You can't skip over the marathon training. You can, but you're going to be in excruciating actual pain, and that's dangerous. So flip the script with pain a little bit. First of all, notice when and where it is. And what type of pain is it? Is it discomfort? Is it mental anguish? Is it physical discomfort? Is it you being out of your bubble? Is it things not going your way? What is it? And then challenge yourself. Step back, be an observer in your life and pick your spots, because you're not always going to pick the challenging path, right? We're not going to do that every single time. Pick your spots that you feel uncomfortable, and you're going to do it anyway. You're going to go forward anyway. And the place that you pick your spot, whatever your most important goals are, whatever you want the most. Because if you keep on choosing that comfortable path, it's going to kill that goal. You will never get to that goal if you keep trying to do it the easiest way possible. There are no easy way outs, my friends. Doesn't exist. Sorry. Look at discomfort as an opportunity to grow. Look at discomfort as an indicator of where you might need to work a little harder, where you might need to open up. And this goes in relationships and just with socially too, like, when do you feel uncomfortable around people with yourself? What things make you really uncomfortable and why? This is how you get to know yourself. You notice when you're uncomfortable and you ask the question, why is this uncomfortable? And am I willing to be uncomfortable without knowing what's going to happen, without knowing if I'm going to fail, without knowing if I'm going to be rejected, without knowing if this is the right decision? I could go on forever. I don't know. Did we get anything out of this? I hope we did. The Gift of Pain. That's the book. Again, it's a real it's like a heavy read. This is in like a beach. Don't get this for vacation. This is not a vacation book. Okay. You guys like my background? I got my old sandwich sign. Okay, let me not do this because some of you are just listening to the audio. I don't even know where I'm going to post the video. Where do I post the video? I don't know. Anyway, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Again, please like, share. I'm going to listen back to this and see if it made any sense at all. I don't know. I kind of like when I was a guest on a couple podcasts in the past, when the podcast ended, I text both of the hosts like that was, I don't even know what that was. I blacked out. Similar because I can see myself. So it's kind of like being like on TV. Like I don't know. It's when I teach class. I don't know what happens in class. That's why you feel a little bit chaotic because I also feel like I don't know what I'm doing and saying like I just black out. So hopefully it worked. Hopefully you got something out of it. At least a good book recommendation. All right. Thank you so much for listening and I'll see you in class. And if not, join FLK Method, fitlikekris.com for all information on everything that I do. FITLIKEKRYS. Thank you guys.